try to figure out our federalism, presidential system after the United States. There are those who will say it took the United States almost 180 years to stabilize their democracy. They've gone through civil war. They've gone through agitation of women's suffrage. They've gone through inclusion of colored people into electoral process. They've gone through agitation, post-depression, reconstruction issues. And a lot of years have gone by. In fact, there are those who will say that it was only about the 1960s that America started stabilizing gradually into its democracy. Those who say, Nigeria, we are growing it, and it has to be systemic and gradual. Are you impatient, Mr. Agbakoba? Thinking in the heads of a lot of Nigerians who think this system may not be working. There are those who say, if it takes America that long, are we impatient? Can we see it through? Whether or not, one way or the other, we will morph into what should be.
Well, look, when you say impatient, don't forget that, and here I use the word governance very loosely, because don't forget that almost a quarter or even a third of the world is not democratic. It's not, for instance, China is not democratic. So the key question to ask as we begin to think through what we should do with a new governance system is democracy. It might sound very controversial, but we must confront this question. Is democracy the only model to consider? Is China not doing well for its people? If you took a vote of Nigerians, do you think that they would necessarily return a verdict on democracy? That is something we must not take for granted. I cherish democracy as a Democrat, but I'm not going to say I assume that Nigeria must be a democracy. China is not a democracy. China is only 11 years older than Nigeria. But look at the gap. I remember that the UAE came here in 1975 asking for money. But can you compare Nigeria and the UAE? So when you say, are we impatient? I'm a bit taken aback. Must we spend 300 years because the US spent 200 years? Can't we learn from the examples of those who have become developed? Well, my big example would be the UAE, developed as it is. China, 1.4 billion people, yet they have been managed. What made them successful? Can't we learn lessons from what made China successful? Here, we have a challenge about our democratic system. And I put that down to the Western political system that enables the person who wins to take everything. Now, if you take everything and exclude others, there'll be problems. But if you have a system, whatever it is, that it includes people, everybody, I don't know what that will be called. If you have a system that includes people, then I think it will be really, really beneficial. Right now, we have a big problem in having a system that excludes. I think you will find the biggest problem we have in Nigeria around exclusion. That, I think, is the biggest problem. Around exclusion. People are not taking part in the process. So, right, let's say 2027 is coming. So suddenly you have the big issue of coalitions, defections. Why? I have not heard many politicians talk about people, about the welfare of Nigerians, about their suffering, about their inadequate opportunities. I've not heard that. All I hear politicians do is every 4 years, they jump up, they become active. Once they get power, they disappear. Look at the ridiculous one in the National Assembly about voting being compulsory. If that bill were to pass, I, Olisa Agbakoba, will not obey it. I'll plead conscientious objection. I'd rather go to prison for 6 months than to obey it. Why would the National Assembly want to impose compulsory voting? Why don't they reverse the question and say, why are Nigerians not interested? What is the apathy about? Well, the apathy is that they don't get anything. If I know that I'm going to get something, there's an aspiration, there's an interest, you will find people coming out to vote. But if people see the same old trick. You come, you take my vote, you disappear till the next 4 years, there'll be apathy. So for all these reasons, Seun, I think we need to look for a new model. We need to look for a new model.
So, and I'm thinking
that something follows. Yes.
Yeah, I'm thinking, is it that the public office is too juicy? It's too attractive. That is why. Because I imagine you are saying that those who have led this country have not really done well. But perhaps I'm inferring from your statement tonight that we've had leadership failure in this country, and that's why we are where we are today. Am I right from what you have said?
You're right. You're right. We've generally had. I mean, there've been some. We've had some good leaders, I must confess. But generally speaking, the leadership quality has been very poor. And the leadership quality has not led Nigerians to where it wants to be. And that's why I refer to the fact that we have voter apathy and disinterest. So unless we ask ourselves and interrogate the issue behind this lack of interest in voting, we will not get it right. And I can tell you that the reason why Nigerians are not interested is because they don't see anything. You should take a trip around Nigeria. Lagos is not Nigeria, by the way, because some people who live here like us think that